Hey, 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 beautiful people. It's Gwendolyn from your virtual admin expert, and welcome to Leading Behind the Scene, your weekly dose of inspiration to equip you to excel in business and life. Before we jump in, I want to share with you that enrollment is open for Mastering Your Success Mastermind. And this is for women CEOs. Yes, for women entrepreneurs who have been in business less than 5 years, who are looking to gain clarity around their next steps to crush their goals. You need some tools and strategies on how to systematically grow your business. You need some accountability to keep you from procrastinating yourself to death. You want opportunities to brainstorm with a seasoned coach, which you will get in this program with not just one, but two coaches. You'll have time to work on implementation and execution, and a tribe of like minded women willing to share their wisdom, expertise, and experiences. This small group mastermind and implementation incubator was created for women just like you. So go over to masteringyoursuccessmastermind.com and get your application in for consideration. So this month, we have been talking about how entrepreneurship and wellness connect. And we have had some great gems dropped by some of the guests. We heard from Coach Fanny of Create Your World. We heard from Coach Iris from ITO Fitness. And we even talked with Melanie Hall, who's a therapist, about being an entrepreneur with a chronic illness and how important having a wellness plan is when you are an entrepreneur with a chronic illness. So if you missed those segments, be sure to go back and check them out either on my Facebook business page or on my YouTube channel. So today, we are continuing the conversation on wellness as an entrepreneur. You've heard me say plenty of times that having a team is a big part of being well. And having a team doesn't mean you need a whole bunch of employees or subcontractors. And for some who are starting out, your team may just be your family and friends or a community of people that you've connected with in your industry. So today I am talking with one of my team members, my assistant, India, because she has been a big part of my wellness plan. Say hello to the beautiful people, India.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you so much for even asking me and extending the invitation to me. I'm so grateful.
Absolutely. So, India, y'all, is a virtual executive assistant who is dedicated, passionate, and determined in the work of her business. She seeks for understanding in all aspects, is resourceful when faced with adversity, and desires to be an asset to others. She finds joy in the smallest things in life and is grateful for each day that she has to fulfill purpose. Throughout her collegiate years and beyond, she led multiple projects in media, editing, publications, and development for organizations, internships, and programs. And in addition to leading multiple projects, she has also assisted individuals and teams in cultivating their business, coordinating schedules, and planning events in industries such as entertainment, music, nonprofit, and education. When she is not assisting her clients, India enjoys spending time with her family and friends, traveling, and trying new restaurants. We have a love for food. Um, she believes in being a student of knowledge, so you can find her reading a book, listening to a podcast, or researching a new topic of interest. So, I believe that work is essential to the well being of an individual, right? And being an
Mhm.
entrepreneur, I've learned that work can be great for your wellness or terrible for your wellness, right?
Definitely.
Because things like multitasking, email addiction, lack of sleep, ineffective
Hmm.
communication, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, along
Hmm.
with the 24/7 connectivity makes it hard sometimes. And because of all that, I personally had to learn how to set boundaries and get some support, which is where you come in.
Yeah.
So, first, tell us, what is it like being an executive virtual assistant?
Yeah, so I love it. And it's so funny because when I interviewed with you, I told you that I had been like an assistant since like the fifth grade. But I say that because really and truly, like I've had the skill and talents, and I recognized that at such an early age. So I was able to kind of transfer that experience in the face-to-face world to the virtual world, and it's been really, really cool and so exciting because I've gotten to connect with so many different people. And of course, as you know, we're in two different states. So
Yes.
literally the power of being a virtual exec has allowed me to meet incredible people like you and get to do great things.
Yes. So one of the things that you said that you like desire to be an asset to others.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit more about what that means.
Yeah, so for me, I am big on purpose and I'm big on connection. And I believe in the power of relationship and how placing people in your life, not that it's a tit for tat or you do for me or I do for you, but I believe that there are certain people that are destined in our life to connect us to like our ultimate blessing, our purpose, and ultimately what we're here for in life. So for me, I try my best in every relationship I have, whether it's working or personal, family, to be an asset as opposed to being a liability. Because when you look at the definition of asset versus liability, your liabilities are things that are gonna they may or may not be good for your life. You don't know until you don't know. But an asset, it's a determined and preset, return on investment. Your positives are definitely going to outweigh the negatives. And looking at the long term, you're going to be better off, I should say, because of that asset. So for me, in my work, in my personal life, I try my best to be an asset because I never want to purposefully be negative on anyone's life because I believe in the power of relationship and power of healthy and positive relationship.
I love that. Yeah, that's a mantra of mine as well. I feel as
Mhm.
if like if we're not adding value to each other, then we have to take a step back and think about like why are we
Right.
connected, right? Like why are we
Mhm.
connected if we are not adding value and really helping each other be better, or move the needle
Absolutely.
in some kind of way. So as an executive assistant, like
Mhm.
you have been really key to my wellness plan because being able to have that support and delegate off some things has really freed me up to focus more on things that I really want to do, either for the agency or just personally in terms of getting my health together. And I remember back in November when I had an impromptu, unexpected hospital stay
Mhm.
because of my illness. And so I was able to just reach out to you and say, hey, can you reach out to the team and do X, Y, and Z, make sure that these things
Mhm.
are still flowing. And so you were able to jump in and really kind of help take over that. So when you think about the support that you provide to your clients,
Mhm.
how do you connect that to their wellness? Like, what are some of the things that you're thinking about
Mhm.
and some of the things that you do to help them in that?
Yeah. So first, I definitely want to say a caveat to that point. When you had that incident happen, that was my first week with you. So for me, I literally was like, Lord, please, Lord, Lord, please, not please, Lord. I speak life. I literally, like, first off, I had to say a prayer because I was like, no, Jesus, like, I rebuke you, devil. After that, um, it really, um, it really sparked me into hyperdrive mode and it really allowed me to really live in my zone of genius, which is stepping in and kind of being a covering when needed, right? So
Mm,
especially in a lot of my assistant work and what I do, it's really a covering for those that are visionaries like yourself, who are dreamers who need tactical things done. And so for me, that allowed me to step in, take the initiative like I know how to do, and do the things that I know how to do well in like time sensitive events. And so not only with you, but other clients that I serve, that allows me to free up their time. It allows me to make sure that they're well. And it also establishes the trust that they have with me in times of need, whether like good or bad. So if a crisis were to ever come up or they need to take a step back for their wellness, they would know that they're still covered because of the gifts and talents that I already have that I bring to the table. So it was that was scary, but I was like, okay, this is what you're hired for. Like, let's go. Like,
right. It was
pray. Let's
like,
put some prayer and action to it. So
welcome to the team, girl. I'm gonna be in the hospital for 4 days.
literally, it
So
was like
like,
Tuesday's your first day. Wednesday, hey, look, cancel the whole week. First of all, reschedule everything, and just the whole month. Just come on. And so for me, I was like,
yes,
okay, you don't know these people, but what you're gonna do is introduce yourself, establish trust, and establish connection because you're now her basically right hand girl when she needs you. And so for me, that gave me like internal joy to know that while you were facing your wellness and making sure that you were good to go, that you also had that trusted partner in me. And so
yeah.
that really allowed me to step up to the plate and to show you like, hey, you hired me for a reason. And it's not even that it's like, you're my boss, and it's a true partnership.
Yeah, and that's what I love. And that was so key for me, right? Because
Hmm.
like I was really having a crisis moment for the reason I ended up in the hospital. And so not having to be concerned about making sure things were still flowing properly and really just focus on myself and getting better was a huge, huge relief for me and also for my clients, right? Because if it were just me and I didn't have that support and the support of the other team members as well, it just all would have went to probably like I probably would have been MIA for like at least 48 hours because I was having so many tests. And that's not something I do with my clients. Like they typically hear
Yeah.
from me every single day. So they would have known that like, what happened? She just like went MIA all of a sudden. And so
Yeah.
that was super key, not only to my wellness, but even to the wellness and health of the business, right?
Yeah.
So that was like super, super, super important. And I love the fact that you were able to just jump in. Some of the other things that you have done that has been super helpful and critical to my health and wellness as well is like you've been making appointments for me. Like I'm scheduled now for like the next 5 months for my massages and just all kinds of things that I need to do so that I could
Yeah.
stay in this place of wellness, right? I've been able to get some different morning routines going and just all kind of stuff, which is great because I learned early on with some clients, I was like giving them like all the access, right? Like they could
Mm-hmm.
text me whenever they wanted, they could call me whenever they wanted. And I
Yeah.
learned one, they didn't really appreciate it, but then two, like it was really draining me and really affecting my health in a negative way. And so I had to learn to put some boundaries in place, which is another area that you come in because I'm like, oh, you know what? You can talk to India. You know what? India will help you get that schedule. You
Yeah.
know what? India will take care of your
Yeah.
membership things or whatever. And so when you think about some of the tasks that you do, what are some of the
Hmm.
other ways that either I might know or may not know that you help your clients in terms of maintaining their health and wellness?
Yeah, so I think you said it best, boundaries. And that's what I talk about. Like when I start a partnership with any client, I always like to know what are your boundaries so that I respect your boundaries and you respect mine, quite frankly, too. Because as you were
Hmm.
talking about setting boundaries and everything, just as I'm doing that for you, I'm first making sure that I do that for myself as well, you know? And so definitely boundaries are the first things and also priorities. I think a lot of times, especially in entrepreneurship, we think every task is a high priority. We think every
Yep.
project is a high priority. We think every no. But so for me, it's a matter of okay, let's look at oh, it's slipping my mind, but it's basically it's a counter grid where it's like four squares and you look at high priority versus low priority, time sensitiveness versus non-time sensitive. So for me, as an executive virtual assistant, I pretty much make sure that we're looking at your boundaries, your priorities, and the time in which everything needs to be completed,
Mm.
and then factoring in where we can go, okay, let's breathe, let's stop, let's think, let's interpret, and then let's work. And so I do that first for myself, and then it allows me to do that for my clients. That way, everything is crystal clear and the business flows well, and you don't feel all like
Yeah.
that in the mind, you know? Like you just, there's times where you're just like, and so for me, I try to alleviate that the best I can by setting those priorities, setting those boundaries, and making sure that time is used wisely because we all have 24 hours in a day. It's just a matter of what you do with those 24 hours in a day.
Yeah. I love that. And I love the fact that you're looking at it from a holistic point of view
Mhm.
for the person overall instead of just like the task in general
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
silo thing. So
Yeah.
how have you talked about some of your personal boundaries? What have you put in place and how have you integrated wellness into your own lifestyle as an executive VA?
Yeah. So for me, time blocking is the best thing I could have done for
Go.
myself because my personality type is I will say yes to everything. Is that good? No. But I
That sounds
come from
very
it with the
familiar.
I come from it from like a spirit and like a mindset of like I really want to help and like I said, be an asset. At the same time, I'm working at 11 o'clock. You're probably sleeping. So that's not good. So for me, time blocking and again, like prioritizing time sensitive tasks is super important for me first for my own wellness. And then also factoring out breaks. Like literally in my calendar, I have break time, breathe, eat lunch. I have my workout time because I love workouts and stuff, and I don't have to think about anything. And then also I'm big on like prayer, affirmations, and making sure that I'm good before the day starts. And I kind of do that in my morning routine just to make sure that I'm good and I'm really servicing others out of what I already have and really I guess I'll use a churchy phrase here. Like my cup is running over, so I'm only giving you the overflow. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
for me, doing those things, I pretty much make sure that I'm giving you the fullness of what I already have. So definitely that. And then taking the time to say, okay, I'm going to close my laptop as much as I love my laptop. I'm going to close it. I'm going to turn my notifications off and I'm just gonna power away. And I mostly do that in like nights and weekends when I'm reading or shopping. One of my favorite things to do. And eating. I love shopping. That's another thing too. Like shopping, that's my wellness right there. Because I love catching sales, and that makes me happy too. So just those little things throughout the day, and then also like things on a monthly basis are things that I do just to make sure that I'm good. I'm settled in my mind, and I'm like, okay, you're centered back to
Yeah.
self. You're prayed up. You're affirmed up and you know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah. I love that. So before we go, what would you
Mhm.
say to the entrepreneur, to the CEO who is having a hard time balancing it all and really making sure that they have some space for that healthy wellness piece? What would you say to them?
Mm, I would say to first stop and assess. Assess what's important to you, assess who's important to you, and compare and contrast that with what you're doing now and where you want your life to be in the future. So if you're spending way too much time on your work and nothing else is getting attention, reassess those things. And after you do an assessment of that, try to create and maintain practical ways for maintaining your wellness. Like affirmations, you'd be surprised. Like affirmations, literally, I just say something 3 times to myself in the mirror. That is something so small, but it's actually
Yeah.
had the greatest effect on my life, especially when it comes to me being an entrepreneur myself. Because whew, I did not believe in myself when I first started this journey. I was like, girl, what are you doing? But once I assessed and I started doing little things like that, it allowed me to basically shift my mind and my mindset to know, okay, you're here, your purpose. Okay, let's walk in that in a practical and healthy way. I'm also a big fan of therapy. Yes, for therapy.
Therapy saves
So
lives.
quite literally, I'm a firm believer in that. And so I'm excited. Actually, I'm about to book my appointment next week. But anyways, so definitely if you need outside help or if you feel that you need an unbiased opinion that's like not family or friends or not that that's bad either, but sometimes you do need a professional opinion. I would definitely
Hmm.
say therapy. And then just making sure that you factor in those moments, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just by yourself and just making sure that you're breathing and have you smiled today? Ask yourself those questions. And that'll allow you to make the small steps to the greatness that you want to be. Because as I'm saying this, I'm really talking to myself right now. And so I hope
That's
obviously
typically
that
how
somebody
it
else is
goes.
touched by this, but I'm really talking to myself. So
And
but yeah,
that's
I would
typically
definitely
how
say
it
that.
goes. But I love that. Have you smiled today? I might start asking myself that. But I again, that's why it's so important to have support, guys. Like whether that is
Yeah.
your amazing assistant, like India, unless it's like the rest of your team, that's amazing because like my whole team is part of my wellness. Like Jackie's been with me for the longest. I think she's been with me for 3 years. And so she's
Birthday
really
twin.
part, yeah, my birthday twins. And so now she's really found her groove and been doing
Mhm.
so amazing since we found that right fit for her, which contributes to her wellness as well, right? Because
Yeah.
my wellness is tied to your wellness and the rest of the team's wellness.
Mhm.
Because if you guys aren't well, then that means like we don't have a healthy working environment, and that's something we
Right,
have to think
right.
about and dig deeper into. And so she's finally found her groove, and she's been doing extremely well, which has been wellness for her mentally, right? Because there was some stress
Yeah,
around like that whole thing and finding the right fit and place and really getting to like
definitely.
what she wanted to do, which is why one of the questions I'm always asking you guys is, okay, what's not working well, what's working well, like is there
Hmm.
anything we need to change, how are you feeling? And I know sometimes people think that that is irrelevant, but I think it's
Right.
so critical because if my team isn't healthy, if my team isn't well, then that's going to add to my stress, that's going to add to my inability to be well. And so it's really a whole like environment type thing. And so
Hmm.
I encourage you all, you CEOs, entrepreneurs out there, those of you thinking of becoming a CEO, make sure that you have some type of support. You may not necessarily start out with an assistant. I didn't. It took me a few years to find India and find the right fit. But that could be your community that you're in. I'm also part of a mastermind, and those women in that community I absolutely love. So they're a support system for me. You know, I have my therapist who's a support system for me. I firmly believe that therapy saves lives. I have my group of girlfriends who are therapy for me and who are a source of support for me. So think
Hmm.
about just what support looks like for you in your life to help you be well, and then implement that, whatever that looks like for you. So, India,
Absolutely.
thank you for being willing to have this conversation. I
Thank you
so
for having
appreciate
me.
you. Beautiful people, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep making wellness a priority in your life. You might have to keep at it until you finally get it. It took me a minute to figure out how to do it, but now I'm getting real good at it. So keep making wellness a priority in your life. I would love it if you would hit like, share it with anybody else that you think might enjoy it. Be sure to leave a comment, a takeaway. If you have any questions or tips or concerns or experiences, please share them with us in the comments and we will do our best to answer them all. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Your Admin Expert, and subscribe to the email list at yourvirtualadminexpert.com for even more tips, tools, and strategies. India, tell the beautiful people
Yeah.
how they can connect with you.
Yeah, you can connect with me on Facebook at India Fordham or on Instagram at Indy Renee. So it's INDI period RENE. And so send me a DM, send me a message, I'll answer.
Awesome. Thank you for tuning in, everyone. And I will see you next week for another segment of Leading Behind the Scenes. Mwah.
Bye.